Imagine Persia, way back in the 1100s, a land rich in culture, art and history, the air filled with the scent of spices, the streets bustling with merchants, and the architecture standing as a testament to a grand civilization. Amidst this vibrant backdrop, a remarkable woman named Mahsati Ganjavi was making history. She wasn't just any poet. She was a trailblazer, a voice that resonated through the ages. Mahsati was a poet, and a brave one at that. In a time when women's voices were often silenced, she dared to write. Her quill danced across the parchment, crafting verses that spoke of the human experience. She wasn't afraid to speak her mind, writing poems about life, love, and being free. Her words were a reflection of her soul, unfiltered and raw, capturing the essence of what it meant to be alive. Even today we remember her as a super strong woman who showed others they could be strong too. Her legacy lives on, inspiring countless women to find their own voices and speak their truths. Mahsati's poems still inspire people, just like they did hundreds of years ago. Her words have transcended time, continuing to touch the hearts and minds of those who read them. Back then, her words were super bold, showing everyone she wasn't afraid to say what she thought and what she wanted. She challenged societal norms and pushed the boundaries of what was acceptable. Mahsati's poems broke down walls and opened doors for women in a world where men were mostly in charge. She paved the way for future generations, proving that women could be just as powerful and influential as men. She's remembered for being brave enough to challenge how things were. Her courage and determination continue to inspire, reminding us that one voice can indeed make a difference. Today, Mahsati Ganjavi's legacy is celebrated around the world. Her poetry is studied in schools, her life is commemorated in art and literature, and her spirit lives on in every woman who dares to speak her mind. Through festivals, readings, and artistic representations, Mahsati's work continues to be a source of inspiration. Her poems are not just words on a page, they are a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit. Her influence has crossed borders and cultures, uniting people in their appreciation of her work. Mahsati Ganjavi's voice, once a whisper in the annals of history, now echoes loudly across the world. As we look back on her life and legacy, we are reminded of the power of words and the impact one person can have. Mahsati Ganjavi was more than a poet. She was a pioneer, a visionary, and a beacon of hope for generations to come. Mahsati grew up in Ganja, Azerbaijan, a place famous for books and learning. Being around so much knowledge made her curious about everything. Her family saw how smart she was and made sure she got a good education. She was a great student and learned many languages. Knowing so many languages helped her read all sorts of amazing books from different places, especially from Arabia and Persia. Learning from so many different places made her poems even better and more interesting. Mahsati wasn't just a poet. She was a multifaceted artist whose talents spanned across various forms of art and expression. Her poetry was deeply intertwined with her other artistic pursuits, creating a rich tapestry of cultural and emotional depth. She was also a great musician and artist. Her skills with the lute were renowned, and she often used music to complement her poetic works. The melodies she created were not just background sounds but integral parts of her storytelling. People loved hearing her play the lute. Her performances were mesmerizing, drawing audiences from far and wide. The way she played the lute was said to evoke deep emotions, making listeners feel as if they were part of her poetic world. Music was a big part of her life, and you can see that in her poems. Her verses often carried the rhythm and cadence of her musical compositions, creating a harmonious blend of words and melodies that resonated with her audience. Her name, Mahsati, means essence of the moon. This name was not just a label but a reflection of her luminous presence and the ethereal quality of her art. Just like the moon, she had a way of illuminating the darkest nights with her creativity. It's a beautiful name, just like her spirit and the way she captivated people. Her charm was not just in her art, but in her personality, which shone through in every interaction. She had a way of making everyone feel special and understood. She wrote a lot of Rubaiyat, which are 4-line poems. These short verses were packed with meaning and emotion, often reflecting her thoughts on love, life, and the human condition. Each Rubaiyat was a gem, polished to perfection. They were full of her clever thoughts and smart observations about the world. Her Rubaiyat were not just poems but philosophical musings that invited readers to ponder and reflect. They were a testament to her intellect and her ability to see the world in unique ways. These Rubaiyat became her special style. They were her signature, a way for her to leave a lasting impact on Persian literature. Her unique voice and perspective made her Rubaiyat stand out, earning her a place among the great poets of her time. Her poems felt real and honest, like snapshots of happy, loving, and sad moments. They captured the essence of human experience, making her work relatable and timeless. Through her words, Mahsati continues to touch hearts and inspire minds long after her time. Mahsati's Rubaiyat reminded some people of another famous poet, Omar Khayyam. They both wrote about life, death, and how time flies by. But Mahsati's poems showed things from a woman's point of view, which was special. Her poems showed what it felt like to be a woman in Persia back then. Khayyam wrote a lot about big ideas, but Mahsati loved writing about simple joys like love, friendship, and nature. Her poems were full of life and celebrated every moment. This made her poems different from anyone else's. Love, happiness, and freedom were super important to Mahsati. You can see it in her poems. She loved life and wasn't afraid to show it. She wrote about all kinds of love, not just the romantic kind. She also wrote about spiritual love, which is love for something bigger than yourself. Mahsati changed how women were shown in poems. Instead of writing about them as quiet and shy, she wrote about women who were strong, independent, and spoke their minds. She used her poems to fight for women's freedom and their right to be themselves. Mahsati lived during a tough time. There were lots of problems and changes happening in the government. The Seljuk Empire, which used to be very strong, was getting weaker. Even though things were hard, Mahsati stayed true to herself. She didn't listen to people who told her how women should act. She lived her life in her own way, which was very unusual for women back then. She was brave and didn't follow the rules, and that inspired other people, especially women who also wanted to be free. Important people noticed how talented Mahsati was. She was invited to royal palaces and fancy gatherings of smart people. Everyone loved her cleverness and her amazing poems. She made these gatherings even more interesting. She talked about big ideas with scholars and other important thinkers. People listened to her and respected what she had to say. Talking to so many different people helped her learn even more about the world. Mahsati showed everyone that women could be smart and have important thoughts too. Mahsati's poems are still important today, hundreds of years later. She changed Persian literature and still inspires writers today. She was so brave, and that helped other women poets find their own voices. She is a hero for women because she fought for their rights and celebrated their strength. Her life and her poems gave hope to women who lived in places where they didn't have much freedom. She showed them that they could break free and follow their dreams. Even today, people all over the world still read Mahsati's poems. Her words have transcended time and space, touching the hearts and minds of countless individuals. From bustling cities to quiet countryside, her poetry finds its way into the lives of people from all walks of life. It's a testament to the universal appeal of her work, which continues to resonate with readers, young and old alike. Her writing about love, freedom, and what it means to be human is something that everyone can understand, no matter where they come from or when they live. These themes are timeless and universal, bridging cultural and generational gaps. Mahsati's poetry speaks to the core of human experience, exploring emotions and ideas that are as relevant today as they were centuries ago. Her words invite us to reflect on our own lives and the world around us, encouraging empathy and understanding. Her poems are beautiful and powerful because they feel so personal. Each verse is a window into her soul, revealing her thoughts, feelings, and experiences. This intimate connection is what makes her work so compelling. Readers can see themselves in her words, finding solace and inspiration in her reflections on love, loss, and the human condition. The emotional depth of her poetry creates a bond between the poet and the reader, transcending the barriers of time and culture. When we read her Rubaiyat, we're taken back in time to when she lived. Her vivid descriptions and evocative language paint a picture of her world, allowing us to experience the sights, sounds, and emotions of her era. It's like stepping into a time machine where we can witness the beauty and complexity of ancient Persian society through her eyes. This historical context enriches our understanding of her work, adding layers of meaning and significance. We meet an amazing woman who is super smart and brave enough to challenge the rules. Mahsati was not just a poet, she was a trailblazer who defied societal norms and expectations. Her courage and intellect shine through her poetry, inspiring us to question the status quo and pursue our own paths. She reminds us that true greatness often comes from those who dare to be different, who have the strength to stand up for their beliefs and the vision to see beyond the limitations of their time. Mahsati reminds us that great art lasts forever and that we all have the power to do amazing things. Her legacy is a testament to the enduring power of creativity and the human spirit. Through her poetry, she has left an indelible mark on the world, proving that art can transcend the boundaries of time and space. Her work continues to inspire new generations of artists, writers, and thinkers, encouraging them to explore their own creative potential and make their own contributions to the world. Let her poems inspire you to live your life to the fullest and be true to yourself. Mahsati's words are a call to action, urging us to embrace our passions and pursue our dreams with courage and conviction. They remind us that we have the power to shape our own destinies and make a positive impact on the world. So as you read her poetry, let it ignite a spark within you, motivating you to live authentically and strive for greatness in all that you do.